think we're ready to begin. Good evening and welcome to the WMGA Swing Series. This is our 7th webinar and tonight's topic is the rules of golf. Wendy Dominick is our USGA PGA Certified Expert Rules Official and WMGA Team Match Chair. Wendy currently officiates with the MGA as the District Chair of the Rules and Competitions Committee, but you can also find her officiating at our WMGA events, USGA, and college events. During this clinic, Wendy will review several of the 2019 rules changes and answer the questions that were submitted through the online invitation. I now have the pleasure to introduce you to Wendy Dominick.
Hi, everyone. I wish I could see your eager faces out there. When Sarah first asked me if I would do this, I gave some thought to a few topics that I thought I might cover this evening. But then the survey results started to come in. And in particular, you submitted some really good questions. So I completely changed my curriculum, which is what kindergarten teachers do. You go with the flow. And so I really liked your questions. So I decided to focus on those, and some of them will lead into a little bit more in-depth coverage. So we're gonna start with an easy question. And it was, if you drop the ball improperly, not at the knee, can you re-drop the ball without penalty? And the answer is absolutely. Rule 14 covers everything there is to know about lifting and marking and placing and replacing and dropping. So if you drop improperly or you drop in a wrong place, as long as you haven't played the ball yet, when it comes to your attention, either you've remembered that we can't do shoulder height anymore, or somebody says, oops, knee height, no problem at all. Just pick the ball up and do it properly. The next several questions are about relief procedures and whether or not you get relief from sprinkler heads that are on or near greens. So I've been asked several different questions and I'm going to cover them all. So the first question is, do I get a free drop if the sprinkler head is on a line between me and the flag? Well, if both the ball and the sprinkler head are on the green, yes, there's free relief. And what you do is you place your ball, it's not a drop because you're on the green, you place the ball at the nearest point of complete relief, not near the hole. However, I'm sure you know that more often than not, there are sprinkler heads rather close to the green, sometimes on the apron. So that rule doesn't apply. And you're only going to get free relief if there's a local rule in place. So local rule, called F-5 if you want to look it up, covers some of the variations on the rule. So it's not, it can be changed to modify it for the course. For example, it can apply just on certain holes. It can apply only if the ball is in an area cut to fairway height or less. It might restrict it only to sprinkler heads or certain other obstructions. So the local rule has to be in place. And if you play at a WMGA event, we'll always have an excellent notice to players that will spell out exactly whether or not that rule applies. And now I'm going to explain how you would apply the rule. So I have a couple of photos that I hope will explain the procedure. Okay, so we have two photos here, and on the one on the left, you can see that the ball is quite close to a sprinkler head, which is on the way between you and the hole. And many players would like to putt that, and the sprinkler head is in the way. Well, what we do here, if the local rule is in place, is what we call the 2+2 rule. Now, you're not going to find that in any book, but that's what everybody calls it. But if you just remember 2+2, the ball has to be within 2 club lengths of the sprinkler head, and the sprinkler head has to be within 2 club lengths of the green. So in this particular picture on the left, the ball is definitely within 2 club lengths of the sprinkler head. However, and I measured this out, it's hard to tell in pictures, the sprinkler head is more than 2 club lengths from the green. So the local rule cannot apply in that situation. So you'll have to chip or putt hard. In the picture on the right, again, it's a little hard to get the idea for sure of the depth, but in this case, the sprinkler head is definitely within 2 club lengths. It's within a few inches of the green, and the ball is within 2 club lengths of the sprinkler head. So free relief is provided in this rule. So what you do is find the nearest point of complete relief. In this case, it probably would be very slightly to the left, and then you drop in a 1 club length relief area. Now in this case, you can see that 1 club length might take you onto the green. However, you can't drop on the green. The ball has to land in the general area and stay in the general area. So you might end up, you could probably get it to, you might have to take a few drops so that it doesn't drop onto the green, but there's plenty of room between there where the ball is and the edge of the green to get a free spot. Okay. So I had another question. Oh, Sarah, how do I get back to my notes that I had on my screen? I'm only seeing this screen and I had my...
Try hitting alternate tab and see if they come up.
Oh, I don't have that. I have a Mac.
All right, let me stop the share first.
I can, oops, there it is, but how can I?
Well, that's because I stopped the screen share.
Yeah. Because I want to read the question, the next question, and I have it in my notes that are on my screen.
I'll flip back and forth.
Okay. So okay, that's fine. And then we'll go to that picture. Okay, so the next question was also about sprinkler heads. Do I get a free drop if when I would take the putter back, it would need to go over the sprinkler head? In other words, if I'm in front of the sprinkler head by just an inch or 2. So now we can go to the photo that we had up there.
Sorry, 1 second. There we go.
Okay. So the answer is, in most cases, no, you would not get relief. I put my putter behind the ball there, and my putter is not touching the sprinkler head at all. I tried this several times because, of course, when you take your putter back, it goes up a little bit. So it's definitely above the sprinkler head with no chance, really, of contacting the sprinkler head. And this was really, really close. If the ball was maybe an inch further away, then there would be no chance that you'd get any relief. And this particular sprinkler head I chose for the photo because it is really pretty flush with the apron there. And then I took a video. We can show the little video of taking the putter back. Oops. Oh boy, my putting stroke is so bad. I have a very big backswing, but there was never any contact whatsoever. So you're not entitled to mental interference. So that might be mental interference, but if it's determined that there's no way that you could contact the sprinkler head, there would not be relief.
All right, Wendy, if you want to get back to your notes, the suggested Command tab might work better on your Mac.
Okay, let me
try that. Otherwise, we'll flip back.
Okay, let me try. Oh, there I am. Great. Okay. Okay, we had one more question about sprinkler heads, and this is a good one too. What if I'm off the green in the rough and a sprinkler head on the green is exactly where I would need to land or putt the ball? Do I get a free drop? And the answer is not likely. First of all, the local rule would need to allow relief for a ball that's in the rough. I have never encountered this yet, but if the local rule allowed it, the 2+2 procedure that I showed would also have to apply. So my next question that I had, which is, again, I don't have any video. How careful must we be not to step along someone's line of putt? Well, this is really an etiquette question. So there really is no answer in the rules on what to tell you. However, any damage caused by any player on your line of putt may be repaired. I think if this is something that continued over and over again and you would ask somebody, then, you know, as I said, it is an etiquette question. Bring it up to the committee. Okay, next we're going to move on to some fun with balls on cart paths. The question is, one of the first questions on cart paths is, please go over the proper placement when your ball comes to rest on the cart path. I have people telling me to go to the closest side to where the ball rests. And if it's in the middle, you have your choice. I don't think that's quite accurate, but this has always been a difficult concept to grasp. Yes, I've heard the same often, and it is a difficult concept to grasp, but I hope we can get that cleared up. So first, let's look at the short USGA video that shows how to take relief from abnormal course conditions. And a cart path is an immovable obstruction, which is an abnormal course condition. And then we'll specifically go over a few situations on a cart path, which will illustrate where you have to go. So we'll look at this little video first.
The first step in taking free relief from conditions such as ground under repair, temporary water, and immovable obstructions is to find the nearest point of complete relief. This is the spot, either left of, right of, or behind, where your ball lies that is not closer to the hole and where the condition you are taking relief from is no longer in your way. You determine this spot by simulating the stance, swing, and direction of play you would use to play your ball if the condition didn't exist. The nearest point can be different depending on whether you are right or left-handed, your height, or your choice of club, etc. It's important to remember the nearest point isn't always the nicest point. In this case, the player's nearest point of complete relief from this path is under the tree, not to the left of the path in the clear. So it's a good idea not to lift your ball before figuring this out, because sometimes the best option is to just play the ball as it lies.
Okay, that gave you a quick little overview of taking relief and finding the nearest point of relief. Now we're going to look at a photo that shows 3 balls on a cart path.
The first step in
Oops. It was a good video. We could watch it again. So, Sarah, is the cart path picture up?
Should be, yes.
Okay. So, we see 3 different colored balls on a cart path. The red ball is exactly in the middle. The nearest point of complete relief for a right-handed player would be to the left. For a left-hander, it would be to the right. There's no need in this case to do any measuring because it's pretty clear. Since you have to take relief both for the ball and your stance, you can figure out easily which side to go to. From that point, there's a 1 club length relief area. So in that case, no choice. The original question said, is there a choice if it's in the middle? No. Now, for the green ball, for a right-handed player, the nearest point of complete relief is to the left. And in this case, there's also no need to even measure. It's pretty clear-cut what it's going to be. Now, for a left-handed player, it's most likely also to the left, but this is a case where you might measure. And in order to do that, it would be, as you saw in the video, you'd take your stance, figure out where the ball would be, and then do the same thing on the opposite side of the cart path. And then you measure. Sometimes you can just eyeball it and see which one is closer. Now let's take a look at the white ball. This is where it gets fun. A lefty would go to the left, but some careful measuring is needed for a right-handed player. If you look carefully at this picture, you'll see that I've placed white balls in the grass at the spot where I took full relief for the ball and my stance using an 8-iron, which is the club I would usually use for this shot. The ball on the right is farther from the edge of the path because I had to be sure to stand off the path. You can barely see that picture actually, but the ball is way off to the side, just fit in the picture. Once I marked the possible spots on each side, I had to carefully measure, and I found that indeed the nearest point of complete relief was actually on the left-hand side. So I know if you look at the two white balls that are in the grass, they almost look equidistant. It's probably about an inch difference, but it is a case where even though the ball on the path is closer to the right side, the nearest point of relief is to the left. Wasn't that fun? Okay, since we're having fun with nearest point of relief, let's take a look at some pictures of a drain. This could be any other kind of condition from which you take relief, but we'll look at this drain. So Sarah, the drain picture is up. They can see that?
Yes.
Okay. So in this picture, you see a little red arrow. I put that to show the direction of play. And before trying to determine the nearest point of relief, it looks as though the nearest point of relief might be at the point of that arrow. But you're really going to have to take your stance to see whether or not you would be standing on the drain. So if we look at the next group of pictures.
They're now up.
They are, but you know what, Sarah? I need to see them.
Okay. So
how do I get back so that I can see them?
hit Command Tab again.
Okay, thanks. Command Tab. Nope, I'm not seeing them.
Keep trying. You may need to hit it more than once to get back to the right screen.
No, I'll have to just remember what the pictures show. If I'm not mistaken, there's a picture on the left and two on the right?
Yes.
Okay. So the picture on the right shows that my feet are on the drain.
Well, shows your feet on the drain and your grip is in, your pretty cool grip is in the picture.
Yes, that's my loudmouth grip. Okay, so my feet are on the drain. So where I have my club head placed is not the nearest point of complete relief.
Right.
So then the next picture on the right, on the top right, you can see that I have my club placed where I think, which is the nearest point of relief for both the ball and my feet. So that's the nearest point of complete relief. From there, I get an additional 1 club length. In this particular case, I just stuck with my pitching wedge to measure, but you can always measure with the longest club in your bag other than your putter. So that's usually your driver. But even using my pitching wedge, you can see the direction that I chose to take my relief. I'm going to be able to drop the ball in the fairway. I just wanted to point out that when you're taking relief, there's no difference in the rules between the fairway and the rough. You usually have to take relief in the same area of the course. So if you're in a bunker, you stay in the bunker. If you're on the teeing ground, you stay on the teeing ground. If you're on the putting green, you stay on the putting green. But as far as rough and fairway go, you either get good luck or sometimes bad luck. You might have to drop in the rough. Okay, we can, the next couple of questions don't have any pictures, so you can, Sarah, you can bring them back to me. So another quick question was, does the rule regarding players being prohibited from standing behind their partner while their partner has taken a stance to make a stroke apply in a scramble? Well, until 2019, the USGA wouldn't even mention a scramble format, let alone interpret any rules. So scrambles are now mentioned, and even a few variations on types of scramble formats are explained in brief in the rules, but there's no special mention at all about what rules apply. So since the rules do not allow you to, a partner to stand behind you, my answer is no, it's not permitted. However, you never know what a scramble committee might allow. So that's my non-answer for that one. I have one more before we move on to another topic. And this is a good one that I'm even asked by the highest level players when I'm officiating. So the question is, please talk about how many club lengths for different situations when you have to take a drop. Well, I wish I could really give you a really easy rule of thumb for this one, such as, oh, if you drop with a penalty, it's this many club lengths, or if it's free drop, it's this many, but alas, that doesn't work. So I'm gonna give it a try, and I hope it'll help you out. So if you think of it this way, if you're already going to be able to move the ball a certain distance, which might be an inch, it might be 20 yards, depending on the situation. So if you get to move it before you even take a drop, you're just gonna get one club length. So for example, we've seen some situations already about where you're taking nearest point of relief, and then you get one extra club length. If you think about it this way, the nearest point of relief, really, you should be fine. So think of the extra club length as a gift. So don't ask for two. That's the way I usually try to explain it. It's only when your relief is measured from exactly where the ball lies. And this would apply, say, to lateral relief for an unplayable ball, or lateral relief from the edge of a red penalty area. This is when you're gonna get 2 club lengths. So imagine your ball under a bush. You don't get any nearest point of relief. You're gonna measure just from the ball. So you're gonna need 2 club lengths. When you measure from the edge of a penalty area, you might need the 2 club lengths. Similarly, when you're taking back on the line relief for penalty area or back on the line relief for an unplayable, you're getting to choose. You're gonna, before you do any drop, you're moving the ball quite a distance. So since you're moving it a bit, what do you think? 1 club length. Well, I hope that wasn't too hard to remember. I hope it helps. I think we have time to answer a few questions on out of bounds and to go out of bounds. No, not to go out of bounds. Let's stay in bounds. To go over the rules about out of bounds, lost balls, and provisional balls. I was asked about when a ball is out of bounds, when it's hard to tell whether or not it's out because the stakes are too far apart. And unfortunately, this does happen. And I know I've asked for more stakes in places at my club. So the woman who entered this question was talking about the ball being in fescue. They found a stake. The other stake was around the corner. They couldn't possibly figure out what to do because they could not line anything up because they couldn't even see two stakes. So later on that day, you should probably go to your committee and say, we need more stakes. But in the meantime, you're out there on the course and you have to deal with it. The only suggestion I would have if you really can't tell is to play two balls. I would leave a mark where the ball was, go back to the tee or back to wherever you were where you hit the ball. So you're going to treat it as though the ball is out of bounds, and you're going to treat it as though it is in bounds. Get a ruling afterwards. Somebody from the committee will come out with some string. You'll get it all sorted out. That's my best suggestion for that. But when you can actually see the ball and you can see the stakes and you can see perhaps a painted line, it's much easier. So we have a diagram here that'll show when a ball is or is not out of bounds. So they're seeing the diagram and I'm not. Okay. The X's obviously show where the ball is not out of bounds, and the check marks show the ball that's in out of bounds, or excuse me, in bounds. A ball has to be completely out of bounds to be out of bounds. If any part of the ball is touching in bounds, it's in bounds. So if you look at the stakes, it's the inside, the course side edge of the stakes, which define out of bounds. When it's a painted line, the ball is only out of bounds if it's beyond the painted line, out of bounds, or completely on the line. If any part is overhanging the line on the course side, your ball is in bounds. Okay, you can take that picture down, Sarah, and come back to me, I guess. So we're gonna move on a little bit to balls that are out of bounds or lost. These are treated exactly the same in the rules. Whether you find your ball out of bounds or you don't find it at all within 3 minutes, you must proceed under stroke and distance. If you played a provisional ball, you can continue with the provisional. If you didn't play a provisional, you must go back to where you last played. If it was played from the teeing area, you can tee the ball and you can tee it anywhere within the teeing area. If you didn't tee it, maybe it was a par 3 and you'd like to play it right from the ground, you have a choice. You can do the same or you can play it from a tee. If you played from anywhere else on the course, you have to go back and drop a ball within a club length relief area of the point where you last played. There is a 1-stroke penalty. Now, if you expected to find your ball and you realize you have to go back, you do your very best to find the spot where you were. Surely you're going to remember something. But you estimate where you were and drop a ball. In searching for a lost ball, the ball is lost after you've searched for 3 minutes. The search begins when you or your partner or your caddy begins the search. Sometimes if you're playing an event where there's spectators, they might start to search. That doesn't count. It has to be you or your side. But once they start to search, you have 3 minutes. And after 3 minutes, the ball is lost. even if you find it after that point. Don't play it. It's no longer in play. It's a wrong ball if you did play it. So just pick it up, put it in your bag, you're good to go. Along with lost balls and out of bounds, we'll discuss provisional balls. It's always a good idea, and it really doesn't take long, to play a provisional if you think your ball might be either lost or out of bounds. You must announce that you are playing a provisional ball. It's best to use the word provisional, but you don't exactly have to say that. You could say, I think that might be lost, just in case I'm going to play another. Pre-2019, that wouldn't cut it. They're making it a little bit easier, but you can't say things like, that's out of here, or I'm going to hit another. You really have to make it clear that what your intent is to play the provisional ball. You can continue with your provisional ball until you reach the point where your original ball is likely to be. So you've hit a 200-yard, you think, you don't know where it is, but you've hit a 200-yard shot towards some trees, and you think it might be lost, so you play a provisional. Your provisional shot was horrible, didn't even go 50 yards. You don't go forward to start looking for the ball. You're going to play your provisional again, and you can continue with it until you reach the point where your original is likely to be. And likely to be is important. It's not where you really find it. As you know, balls can hit trees, they can hit a cart path and go farther than you thought it would be, but it's where you think it's going to be. If you find your original ball, even if it's in a terrible lie, and you might want to take an unplayable, you must abandon the provisional. Sometimes people think, well, since I want to take an unplayable, can't I just use my provisional as my stroke and distance ball? No, you have to proceed in whatever manner you choose with the original. So you're either going to play it or take an unplayable. If you should find your original ball in a penalty area, or if it becomes known or virtually certain that your original is in a penalty area, you must abandon the provisional and either play the original from the penalty area or take penalty area relief. This happens sometimes. You're playing a course that you don't know. You had no idea that there was a stream right over the hill. You hit it way off to the right. You get over the hill and you either find your ball in the penalty area or you realize that the only place it ever could have possibly gone is into the penalty area. Once that's known, whether you find the ball or not, you abandon the provisional. One important note about provisionals and penalty areas. You may not play a provisional ball solely because you think it's in a penalty area. If you do so, that's the ball in play under stroke and distance. Now, I just mentioned a situation where maybe you didn't know there was a penalty area. That's fine. It's only when you either see the ball definitely go in the, I'm going to say water, but it doesn't have to have water, and you say, oh, that's in the penalty area, I'm going to play a provisional. No. That would be the ball in play if you did it. On the other hand, you never have to announce why you're hitting a provisional. So it's either going to be because it's lost or it's out of bounds. Sometimes you know it might be both. You know, you're never going to know where it is. But you can't play one strictly for a ball that might be in the penalty area. So as I just said, there are times when you might play a shot that might be in a penalty area, or it might be lost near a penalty area. This would happen if there's a lot of rough right in front of the, or around the penalty area. So in this case, you really don't know if the ball went in the penalty area or if it's lost, and maybe not lost in the rough, or if it's in the rough and whether you'll find it. So in that case, it's fine to play a provisional ball. But when you get to the area, depending on the terrain and other factors on what other people saw, you may find that you have virtual certainty that it's in the penalty area. Maybe you'll find it, or it could be lost and you'll have to proceed with the provisional. Sarah, are you still there?
Yes, I just went back so you could be at the center of the screen. So I
Oh, okay, fine, because all of a sudden I see nothing.
Yep.
So that is pretty much what I have planned for today. You've been a wonderful, well-behaved audience, very quiet.
Yeah. One question here. What would happen if in match play your opponent disagreed with you? In other words, she thought you deserved relief and you think she doesn't. Ooh.
Okay, say that once more, Sarah. That's a great question, and it happens a lot.
Yeah, you're in match play. Your opponent disagreed with you. In other words, she thought she deserved relief and you think she doesn't.
Okay, are we talking about relief from, I guess it depends. If you're talking about ground under repair, for example, and it's not marked, generally speaking, there would be no relief. In match play, you cannot play a second ball. In stroke play, if there's doubt as to whether or not you're entitled to relief from any sort of situation, you announce before you take any further action that you plan to play out the hole with both balls, and then you report the facts to the committee, and they will give you a ruling. You can't do that in match play. So what you really have to do, if you're the player who wants relief, it's your ball, is either go along with what your opponent says and don't take the relief, or if you really feel you are entitled to relief, you take your chances. And your opponent will, before you leave that hole, she must make a, they used to call it making a claim, now we call it asking for a ruling. So your opponent will say, I disagree with that, and you play out the match, and you probably do not know the outcome of that hole until you get a ruling from the committee when you finish.
That's great. If there's any other questions, please write them in the chat now. We've got one from Terry. Wendy, do you carry a measuring tape for the round?
Do you mean for, it does,
I
so
think one,
do you mean for like out of bounds?
Or even for seeing who's away and putting, I think.
Okay, well, I happen to have a thing called a gotcha, which I use when I officiate, and it has a little hook that goes around the flag stick, and you pull it out. It's a lot like a measuring tape. And yes, I carry that when I officiate. I don't carry it when I'm just playing. And also when I officiate, I take dental floss, and I use that for connecting out of bounds stakes to see if a ball is really close.
Yeah, we have, we carry dental floss too. We learned that trick from you. It really is helpful. Yep. I don't have any other questions. Nope, I don't have any other questions, but Wendy, did you want to just go over the app, that one image? I want to share that.
Oh, sure. Yes.
Let me share it with everyone. So explain this. I'm going to pull it up.
Okay. On the US, I highly recommend that you get the free USGA app. Have it on your phone. As you see behind me, or no, you don't see me anymore, but behind me have been 3 rule books. There's the Player's Edition, which quite honestly, the only good thing about that is it fits in your rule book, in your bag. There's the regular rules of golf, which is the one to have. And for committee people and so forth, there's the official guide. But the USGA Rules app has all 3 books. It has everything there. It also has the updated clarifications that come out every 3 months. And it has a wonderful search feature. You can type in just about anything and it will guide you to what you want. One example, before I get to this particular one, is bunker. Well, in the rules, a bunker is called a bunker, not a sand trap. And you're not going to find the word sand trap anywhere. But if you type in the search feature, sand trap, you're going to get a whole list of all the things you need to know about bunkers. So it'll take you right where you need to go, even if you use the wrong wording. So this example is for ball moved. This is a topic for another webinar. We could do ball moved and ball stopped and deflected and bouncing around. We keep ourselves busy for half an hour just with that. So if you type in ball moved, you'll get this long list of who did it on purpose, accidentally. You'll get everything you know, and you just click on the one that applies, and it'll take you right to the rule and tell you how to proceed.
Great, thank you.
And one more thing, I just have to, because I know Diane Galtieri is probably out there. So at one of our Met Rep meetings last year when I did a rules presentation, I did a big pitch on the rules app. I think Diane confuses the rules app with my phone number, because if she has a question, she just calls me, and I love it. It's always fun. She always has a good one for me.
Thank you. We've got one more that came in.
Okay.
Please explain, you do not get relief from out of bounds wall, etc. if your ball is in bounds.
That's correct. A boundary fence, a boundary, and also a boundary stake are not obstructions where you get free relief. You either play it as best you can or take an unplayable.
All right, well, Wendy, thank you for presenting these rules and answering all of our questions. As a reminder to the attendees, this video will be posted on the WMGA website and YouTube channel tomorrow for replay. Also tomorrow morning, you'll receive the invite for the 8th installment of Swing Series, Yoga and Golf, presented by Sarah Cohn. And in the coming days, you'll see a teaser for the Putting and Chipping Clinic with Sharon McQuillan on August 6th. Thank you for attending the Swing Series and have a great evening.
Thank you for listening. Bye.